Welcome back to our Scala class, and we will continue working with files. Today we will learn how to properly close a text file after reading, and maybe do some text processing, and eventually we'll move on to writing later on. So when we stopped by last time, we were able to read the files, but using the Scala IO source class, right? It's not closed, right? It's a convenience basically. So this means actually, well, the file remains open, right? So there are a couple of ways of using it. We'll use some other libraries to close the file. Again, why? Well, again, if you're working with a short script, you don't really worry about it because, well, your script ends and your files are closed. However, for large applications, well, you might not want to keep a file open, right? It's not very efficient. We all seen what happens when applications keep the files open. You can't really do anything anybody else can do with the file, even in a read format. So it leads to more errors, again, if you can avoid it, it's best to close as early as possible. Okay, so let's double check if everything works, right? So we know that right now we have an absolute pass. Actually, we will see about that as well, right? So that might be a good idea to, since we saw the source directory, we printed the file, right? It actually is that here, right? So Scala playground, March, and so on. So we could do a relative pass, right? I'll refactor this as a absolute pass, rename, right? I'll do absolute file pass, right? Enter, right? So the name should be right. Okay, so that's an absolute file pass. Let's do a relative. Let's see if we can do a relative pass. So we are here, and where is our file? Well, it is in source resource stopping by. So we'll do relative pass. So relative file pass will be just basically source, and I'll use the universal syntax so I don't have to worry about resources, right? On 2 rows, right? Let's see if this works better, right? Text, right? And I can leave this open, but I will do a copy, right? I will do a copy, relative pass. See if this works as well, right? So I will make a copy of this and basically comment this out. So relative file pass, and see if this gives me what I want, right? Relative file pass, and also relative file pass, right? By line, but I'll just basically, right? So we'll have an error, right? What do you think? Well, I don't think we'll have an error. We should be fine. Relative, right? And I am changing it. So again, usually you want to work with relative file pass because it makes, well, well, no, we're not Einstein, but we basically want to keep things relative to our project. Again, so you don't have to worry about specific computer, right? You don't have to worry about my username and so on. Okay, so let's see if this works. Again, it can be picky, it can be tricky because it looks like resource. So if we are here, right, our working pass is this, right? Current working directory, right? So this means we add source, resource, and that's our file name, right? So again, we could separate these prefixes, these folder names, but for now it should work. Let's see if this is actually what we want. It should, but it's not guaranteed. I make a mistake, but no, I did not make a mistake. Everything worked as expected. Excellent. So relative file pass, use them, right, as much as possible. Again, sometimes of course you have project is running late and you have a fixed computer, then you use absolute file pass. Then you can always check if the absolute file pass works, right? Then you know, okay, you are on the right road, right? But you somehow not getting the relative pass, right? In this case, we have this is where we are, right? So this means usually this is the project you are working on, right? So the relation will be source, resources, 2 rows. Again, you could of course it could be something different, right? I mean, it could be another folder, right? It doesn't have to be source, resource, but this is a pretty common place to put some resource for your project, right? I mean, you could be reading files from somewhere in your directory as well. But okay, so relative pass work, right? And we would like to close the file. So I'll show you how to do it. So we'll use a buffered source, right? And we need to close it. So basically, for now here we basically use the is very convenient to do one-liners, but it's better to do a method of actually closing it. So let's make a get text, right, from file, right? So something like that, right? So we'll have a source, right, which will be string, right? Well, for now on we get back string, right? So how do we do it, right? So far so bad, right? To do fix me, right? Fix me, right? And we have stub, and we want to do this source. So it should work like this. This is from Alvin's recipes. Buffered source, and what do we want to do? Source and from file, I believe, right? From file and source, right? Easy, right? Okay, that's good. And then we get actually, well, the actually contents, right? We basically want to get the text, right? So text will be, well, text will be buffered source and I believe, let's check, let's see, from file, we not get lines, we got open the buffer. I believe we can just do make file. I think we can do make, let's see. I believe we can just basically get text, yeah. Or let me check again, did we do it here? Yeah, make string, right? So we can do make string and it should be text, right? Okay, so now buffered source should be closed somewhere. Yes, we do. Easy, right? And now we can fix this part here, right? We can add text and we are good. Looks good, right? Let's test it, right? So again, so the main thing is we close. Again, doesn't have to be a function, but I just made a function. So let's do that. And Control Z, and let's see how it works. So again, my text. Do I have my text? Not yet. Will be, of course, get text from file, and I will use relative file path, right? And of course, I can do print line my text. And again, yeah. So, right. So, and I will basically stop these printings, right? So I don't have to worry about these, right? I'll use just a function. Again, it would be better to use a function, right? So I will comment out these parts here for now, right? Since everything seems to work nicely. Right, my poem, right, I'm commenting everything out. We have relative path, we have function, right, and looks like it's ready to go. So, yeah, works perfectly, right? So a nice function. This is a good candidate to do move me to utilities, right? Utilities, right? I will do it maybe after the break when we meet again, right? So, and I will also do get lines, right? So define get lines from file, right? So very similar, might be useful. Somebody, right? String. What do we get back? Well, that will be probably array of string, right? String, right? And now how to get it, right? So I could do, of course, array, maybe, you know, fix me, right? This is fix me, right? For the want an empty array, right? So again, so buffered source, same ideas here, right? Again, of course, you don't have to use these functions, but since if you're going to be doing a lot of reading and writing, it's nice to have these as utilities, so then you can actually don't have to write all this like 4 lines here, right? It's better to close again, so you add this closing to it. So lines will be what? Of course, buffered source get lines, right? And so that's what will be. What will it be? It's an iterator. It's an iterator. Okay, so it's an iterator. So what do we want? We can get make string, right? Make string, right? Make string. Will that work? No, that's not what we want. No, to array, I believe we want, right? We don't want to actually have it. Yeah, that will be better. Array of string. That's what we want. Excellent. And we, of course, same idea before, buffered source, we are going to close it. And we are good. We are good to go, except we need to return lines. So let's fix that. We are going to fix it. And we are ready to rock, right? So now we can of course read some lines, we can do some transformations, we can do a lot of cool stuff now with these two tiny functions. Again, I will add to do move me to utilities, right? I will do that after the break. And let's do let's read some lines. So my lines, right, will be again get lines from file, and again I'll do relative file pass. And let's see, let's print. So print line. I'll do this. We can do print line, or we can do, let's print like first 4 lines, right? Printing first 4 lines. First, let's say 4 lines, right? So we'll do this, right? Or first n lines. Let's see. Max lines. Again, I'll do something silly. Max lines. Let's say 5, right? So s, since I like to use, again, always thinking too much ahead, right? I'll do something like this, right? So, and I'll print max lines, and so how many I want, I'll do slice, right? Or for each, I could do something like this, my lines, slice, right? And it was 0 max lines, right? Max lines, right? And I can do, so slice, and for each print line, right? So something like this, right? So you can also do make string as well, and then print that, right? Alternative would be to make a string out of this. Let's see this, right? Let's see if this works correctly. Let's see, we have what we have. We have 2 rows, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be these 5 lines, right? Let's see if that really is the case. Okay, now. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent, right? And of course you have a new line here, but that's fine if you didn't want to, right? So alternative, of course, would be to maybe slice. Again, we could do similar idea, right? We could do something like print line, right? And we could do my lines. The same idea, right? Same thing, right? Same slicing. We can do something else, but this is fine. And make string, right? And make string, and I could do. I think you can do that's also fine. My lines, I can't type here. So how much time we have? My lines. I think we are doing pretty good progress here. Yes, we are. We still have some time. And same idea. Same as above. Right? So of course this is what's the difference here. Here result here we actually have the 5 lines as a string, right? This actually just we slice, we do a command here. We say, okay, print each line. Here we say print the same result as previous command, operation. But here we create this substring first, right? Above we printed line by line. I mean, result is same, right? Here we do for each print line. Here we print. First we slice together. This should be slightly faster. This should be slightly faster, right? Again, you might do some nano tests, timing if you want, and get some results. Let's see if this really is the case. Right. Okay, so what happened here, of course, is the lines did not have a new line. Right, interesting. So right. So what do you have to do here? Right. The difference was, so the new line syndrome is stripped from this, right? So we need to add the make line, right? Because, well, right? So we made a string out of these lines. So new line symbol is not included. Okay, no problem. Actually, question is, do you have to use single character or double? Yeah, we can use string. Okay, that will work. Let's see. Yeah, this will be slightly faster, right? Okay. All right, so it works. Again, we did it twice. Okay, but now how about, let's do one more thing. We have a little bit of time. How to filter for interesting things. Like we want to see rows, right? Okay, or maybe you'll see and. Let's get the lines. We start with and. Okay, we can do that, right? So we'll do some filtering. So, and lines, right? And lines will be, we know this already, my lines. And of course, you can do filter, right? On line, right? Which is, of course, basically starts with basically and, right? Very easy, right? And then we can do, of course, and lines for each print line, right? And let's see that. Let's see that really works, right? Line lines starting with and, right? Let's see that. Remember our friend filter. Our friend filter will be your friend. So line starting with and, yes, it works quite nicely, right? Okay, so how about, let's do one more trick to get you some ideas. So containing, so we want the roads. What do we have there in the roads? We have leaves. Again, of course, this is very tiny text, but of course for larger, so roads, so things which contain roads. Okay, let's try roads containing, right? So again, roads lines, maybe more precise would be, again, so my lines, filter, and what do you think I'll do? I'll do contains, right? And my lines, I can't type again, my lines, so contains. So what's the difference? So difference is that meaning it text can be anywhere in the line, right? In a row, right? Starts with, well, again, it makes sense, right? So you can do, of course, character values. I believe you can do regular expressions, which we'll do here, right? So filtering, right? This is our friend, right? We go through an array or a sequence of values. We could set. So this, remember, this is stands for the current line we are checking. So this is, we basically say, okay, we are filtering by, this is a boolean, right? So you check each line. It's basically a loop, right? You could do also yield if you want, right? Remember, you can also do it with a yield, right? Alternative syntax would be with a yield, right? But I like this filter syntax as well. Road lines, which of course is for each line, print line for now, right? Let's see, roads lines, and I should have that. Right, roads, okay. And what else can we filter out? I'll show you with yield. Ends with a exclam. Do we have exclams? No, we only have one exclam. Something interesting. Ends with comma, right? Okay, ends with comma. We can do that. And I'll use the yield syntax since we have time. Ends with comma, right? And we can do this again. So, but we'll do yield. So we can do this for, if you like, if you prefer, for line. Lines, my lines, right? If line ends with comma, right? Yield the line, right? So this will be an array of a string, right? So alternative is to use yield. Alternative to filter is to use yield, right? Same performance, roughly same performance. Again, this might be slightly more flexible, right? Again, very nice, I think. And let's see if they have any ends with comma. Or, well, okay, I'll just do this. Ends with comma for each print line, right? Again, quick and easy. Right, let's see that. And we are almost done. We have one. Yes, these are all the lines. We had the, okay, so we had so two roads, right? We hit it twice. It starts roads lines because contains, right? And here all the lines which end with comma. So we have three powerful filtering functions, right? And you have two approaches how to use it, right? You can do it with this, using the with an if here inside the syntax. That's one way of doing it, right? Or filter, which is my usual preference. It's shorter, right? That I usually use this, but again, some people might want to. Yield is maybe slightly more flexible, right? You can do yield something. The thing is, yield, you can do yielding here. You can also basically serve as a mapping. You could transform this into something else, right? You can do maybe uppercase or something else, right? Filtering, you have to combine it with map, right? So flexibility, it is more flexible because you can also perform some transformations, perform some mappings, right? Otherwise, yeah, with filter you need to do map, right? So filter just filters, yield, we are yielding, but we could also transform maybe to uppercase, for example, right? We could do to uppercase, for example, to uppercase, right? To uppercase, we can yell, for example, if you want to, right? Do we need parameters? Can we get by with this? Yes. Let's see that. Right. Perform. I like this. I love this actually. So Yeah, you see, and we have some yelling, right? Otherwise, with filter, we would have to use map as well, right? So this is slightly more flexible. Maybe again you might prefer this, right? Or maybe do mapping here as well. Again, both are very powerful, and they give you the same results. One is a synthetic sugar for us, I believe yield. Actually, underneath you have filter and map. Actually, right? So we have these tools. We know how to read the files, either all of it or line by line, right? We can read the first line, right? We can slice, we can access first, second line by index, right? For example, we could also read the first line, right? Well, first line, right, would be what? My lines, 0, right? And print line, first line, right? Of course. Let's see that. Of course, head. It should probably be could also use my lines head, right? I'm used to doing it, right? Because of course this is arbitrary index, right? You could also use my lines head. So they're all not taken by Robert Frost. Okay, so you have some basic tools now, and I think it is time to do some exercise. So exercise is here. At the end, I would like you to read the poem, the other poem by Robert Frost, or of course, right, stopping by. It's included in my repository, right? I want you to get the poem name. It is the first line. You can see it here, right? You have a nice cheat sheet here, right? You want to get this one. And you want to also get his name. Ah, that's more interesting, actually. Get this, but I just want to get the poet, right? I wonder how you can do this, actually. That'd be interesting, right? Well, you can, actually. That will be a little bit tricky. We'll see how you can do that. I want to see some interesting results. But again, we'll see that afterwards, right? Not without the by. And of course you can cheat and say Robert Frost, right? But that would not be the ideal. Okay, and then I want the woods, right? We want the woods, right? So you probably use contains, right? So all the lines which contain woods, right? It talks about the woods, and so a couple lines should be apparent here, right? So that's your task. I'm going to submit it to GitHub right now, and you will be able to solve it, I'm sure. So we'll meet again afterwards, and we can discuss how you did.